You know, it's been said that knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. And without that knowledge, our people will perish. We also know that the Latin meaning of the word doctor is teacher. And your doctor's job is to teach, reach, and inspire and motivate you to get that knowledge and wisdom and to change your life and the life of your family. And what if I told you that the majority of the things that you learned about health, about healing, about wellness was wrong, or maybe even a lie? Hi, my name is Dr. Eric Nepute, and I've dedicated my life to helping people get to the root cause of their problems and end human suffering. And I've really gone about this in a very non-conventional way. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. Ever since I was a child, I've always wanted to be a physician. I've always wanted to help people solve their problems. But when I started my conventional medical training, it just didn't answer the question, why? And that's where my outside-of-the-box, non-conventional health and wellness training started. You see, not only am I a primary care provider, but I also have a doctorate in natural medicine, a doctorate in chiropractic, a fellowship in functional neurology, a fellowship in internal health. I'm a certified athletic trainer. I've got a master's in clinical nutrition and 3 bachelor's degrees in human anatomy, sports medicine, and chemistry. And I don't tell you that to impress you, but to impress upon you that I think and act differently because of that. Not only do I have a very diverse educational background, but my business background is very unique as well. I've owned and operated over 30 of my own health and wellness centers that are fully integrated practices where people would come from all over the world to be seen. I've owned and operated surgical centers across the United States. I've been a part owner of a nutraceutical company. I've owned part of a hospital system. I've been involved with pharmaceutical biological companies. I've helped train thousands of doctors across the globe on how to get to the root cause of chronic illness. And as of recently, I've been honored to be a part of the Make America Healthy Again campaign, where Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy Jr., has asked me to be a part of the movement to help eradicate chronic illness and childhood illness across the globe. I've also testified in front of Congress at a federal and a state level to help improve policies and remove some of the unnecessary regulations so that people can actually get to the root cause of their problems and not just manage the diseases. And over the past 2 decades, I've dedicated my life to understanding the human body at its most fundamental level. I've always been driven by one mission, and that's to find the root cause of health issues, not just treat the symptoms. Now, let me ask you this. Have you or anyone you know ever struggled with fatigue, brain fog, weight gain, hormonal imbalances, digestive issues, leaky gut problems, chronic pain, low libido, anxiety, mood swings, autoimmune disorders, hypertension, heart disease, or liver and kidney issues? I know the list is long, but what if I told you there was a company backed by real science and real results that can help you with all of these issues and much more? Welcome to BioLimitless. I've seen firsthand how powerful the right approach can be, and that's exactly what I want to talk to you about with BioLimitless. Because the more you understand about how you are and how your body works, the better you can help yourself and help your family. Because self-care is the real healthcare, and it begins with understanding about you. At BioLimitless, we offer unique technologies backed by research and designed to help tens of thousands of people get better every single day. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the products and how they work. Let's first talk about our Cellular Reset formula. Cellular Reset is not like any typical metabolic or performance supplement on the market. It's a peptide-based bioregulator formula designed to work at a cellular level by combining strategic peptides in a specific manner in order to improve mitochondria, improve cellular repair, and improve metabolism. Some of the amazing results that you're going to have with that is rapid fat loss. We're going to shift your body from a sugar burner to a fat burner without losing muscle mass. In fact, our peptide blend has an exercise in a bottle in it where it literally mimics exercise and helps your body build muscle while burning fat at the same time and helping systemically reduce inflammation, which accelerates tissue recovery and improves endurance, helping your body rest, recharge, and operate at its full biologic potential. Now let's talk a little bit about our Cell Signals formula. This is a revolutionary bioregulator formula designed to optimize cellular communication and restore cellular efficiency, supporting energy, performance, and systemic balance in the human body. Listen, as we age, the production of key cell signaling molecules decline, dropping by 90% or more by the age of 30. This disrupts our cells' ability to vibrate at a frequency for energy production, detoxification, and repair. And these changes contribute to fatigue, brain fog, slower recovery, and other age-related challenges. Cell signal combines bioavailable nutrients to offset those issues and help restore optimal performance to the human body. Now, I'm sure many of you know that we're living in an era where anxiety, depression, insomnia, and mental illness are off the charts and rising. Our Neural Reboot formula is a potent tripeptide bioregulator formula designed to help rewire brain function, refire metabolic processes, and reboot cellular regeneration. This advanced blend of peptides works synergistically to restore balance at a cellular level, helping you think clearer, feel stronger, and perform at your best. This formula helps cellular renewal restoration, helps metabolic activation, cognitive function optimization. It connects the brain-gut axis, which helps maintain the communication between the neurotransmitters of your gut and your brain, and it helps with cellular vitality and is the key to longevity. Now, since we're speaking of the brain-gut connection, let me tell you about one of my favorite formulas, our Master Microbiotic formula. It is a clinically validated bioregulator formula designed to optimize gut health and recolonize the microbiome with potent spore-based master microbes, and is supported by gut-healing regenerative peptide known as BPC-157, the healing peptide. Utilizing our patented phytomicroencapsulation technology, this formula delivers beneficial probiotics directly into the small intestine where we need them the most. This formula helps restore gut health, boost immune system, and enhances overall well-being in the human body. Now, in our increasingly toxic world, we are bombarded with harmful substances every single day, from heavy metals to microplastics to pesticides, herbicides, larvicides, fungicides, all these chemical toxins that make us toxic. Over 90% of Americans have detectable levels of harmful chemicals in their body that is literally killing them. Our Detox Pro Plus formula is built to combat this toxic burden and support natural detoxification in a safe, daily usable formula, scientifically backed with ingredients that bind and remove toxins while restoring balance at a cellular, genetic, and microbial level. This advanced blend also supports mitochondrial function, healthy inflammation markers, and promotes gut and liver detoxification processes. By targeting the root cause of toxic accumulation, Detox Pro Plus helps restore energy, strengthen immune function, and revitalize overall well-being while empowering the human body to function properly. Now, unlike most healthcare experts, at BioLimitless, we test, we don't guess. Now, I'm not here to discredit traditional healthcare, but if you've been searching for a better way, one that understands how your body works at a genetic and a cellular level, then BioLimitless is the answer. At BioLimitless, we know that true health starts within you. You have the power to transform your life, but it has to start with you. Self-care reimagined begins with you understanding more about yourself. Our BioLimitless DNA Discovery Kit measures over 800,000 genetic markers in your body and gives you the map and the blueprint how to live your life. If you don't understand how to live your genetic lifestyle, I don't care what vitamins, minerals, and supplements you take, you're not optimizing your production. What if there was a test that you could take from home that could measure how you should sleep, how you should exercise, what supplements you should have, when you should take them, what types of injuries your body's prone to, and much, much more. This test by itself has been an absolute game changer for thousands of my patients, and it'll be a game changer for you as well. At BioLimitless, we know that health starts from within. You have the power to transform your health, but it has to start with you. So let's get started today. Go to the link below, explore the products, and join the thousands who have found a better path to health with BioLimitless. Click the link, take control of your health, and transform your life, because self-care is the real healthcare. Hey everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hey, it's Dr. Eric Nepute. Hope you guys are having a blessed day today. Hey, good morning. Welcome to our AMA. Every Friday morning we get together for about an hour or two and we do an AMA It looks like our chat is disabled. Man, this is so crazy. I don't know if you guys have been with me for a while, but just so you guys know, we've had some massive amounts of censorship going on. We're going to see if we can get this turned back on. But hey, give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I've got some really great stuff I want to share with you guys today. But we've been getting massive censorship for the last 2 weeks. It's like every platform we get on, it's trying to shut everything down. I've got some really cool stuff to share with you guys. And I need to see. Give me 1 second. My IT tech team is unfortunately predisposed today. So where are you guys watching from? Where do you want to talk about today? Give me a second. I'm going to get us turned on with the chats, and then we can get rocking and rolling. Good morning. Okay, let's see. Open live stream up, right-hand side channel. It collapses the chat button. Golly, this is crazy. Let's see. That's good. That's good. Make sure your destinations are connected. Give me just a second, everybody. Sorry for the delay here, but I can't see any of your messages. See, when I put it in the chat, oh, there we go. I see some folks there. Okay, cool. I see folks there. All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I can at least see you guys there. Let me know where you're watching from, and I'll do my best to answer your questions today. Let's see here. Come on now, baby. What am I having an issue with? Click this. Golly. You know, I tell you what, I hate to say this, but the damn older I get, the more I need a freaking younger person to help me with tech stuff. Yep, I don't know why. Activate your chat. Please click here. Gosh, dang it. All right, well, I can see some of you guys at least a little bit there. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hope you guys are having a blessed day wherever in the world you are. Let's go to settings. Let's go here. Gosh, darn it. Well, I can at least see your chats on the side. So I can't put them in the group. But, hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I want to talk today to all of you about health. Okay, listen, you guys know that we're all about helping people. We're all about helping people find the root cause of their problems. And I see you guys. Let me know where you're watching from. I see I hate to be looking in it like this, though, but I can't normally see the dang chat on the side. And I have no idea why it's doing that. Phyllis, good morning this morning. Donna, good morning. Robin, good morning. Jerry, good morning. Vicky, good morning. Type in the chat where you guys are watching from. Gosh. Let me just send a message to my tech guys. I'm so sorry to do this to these folks. One of my tech guys is actually. Hey, just letting you know, I can't get, when I look on here, can you guys jump on my restream and see if you can fix this? I can't see any of the chats on the side here. I can only see them when they're on the computer. Even if I go here to put them there, they don't show up. There's no chats anywhere. Could you guys help me get the chat so I can engage with these lovely people on social media, pretty please? All right, give me a second. I'm going to drop this in. I want to talk to you guys today about root causes. And there's a huge conversation that's happening globally about finding the root cause. You guys do me a favor, type root cause down in the bottom in the chat. Type root cause in there. And we're going to go over root causes today. In fact, I'm going to go really deep with details with this, with root causes. Because, you know, you're hearing everybody talk about find the root, find the root, find the root. Well, that's really cute, but most people don't know what it means by find the root cause of the problem. Okay, so let's have a little conversation about that first and foremost. The first thing I want you to understand about finding the root cause of the problem, it's not about managing your symptoms. Health is not about symptom management. It's about finding the cause. Like, let me give you an example. If somebody has, for example, type 2 diabetes, have you ever heard of that? Anybody who knows anybody with type 2 diabetes, put in the chat D2. Just put D2 in the chat. If you put that in the chat, then then I can help you talk about that. But what would you rather do? Would you rather find the root cause of the type 2 diabetes, or would you rather manage it? So there's something that we talk about a ton here at BioLimitless. We talk about managed care versus symptom care. And there's a big difference. And I want to educate you a little bit on that today. I want to really get into that. In fact, I think I've got a slide here. Let me show you. Yeah, check this out. So look, let's see if this pulls up. Look at this. So we talk about managed care versus self-care. Here at BioLimitless, we're all about self-care is the real healthcare. If we can help you find the root cause of the problem,
You don't have to manage it. How many of you don't want to manage pain? Would you rather just get rid of the dang root cause of it? I'm going to talk to you about where that's coming from today. How about blood sugar issues or metabolic problems? Would you rather take a pill for your thyroid issues every day, or a pill for, or a shot for your blood sugar issues every day? Or find the root cause of it? How many of you want to find the root? If that's you, type "that's me" in the chat, okay? Now, look at this. If you look at this graph on the side over here, it talks about self-care versus managed care. Managed care treats the symptoms, okay? Root care or self-care gets to the root cause of the problem, okay? Managed care is this one-size-fits-all model that does not work. It only works for a small percentage of the people, and it's only for a short time that it works for, okay? Because here's the reality. Like in functional medicine, how we practice, and many of you that are my patients know this, when you come to see us, when you do your exam, it's an extensive exam looking at your physical, chemical, and neuroemotional well-being, but then we're also going to be looking at when we do your report of findings, we're going to be giving at least, we sit down for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and explain in detail what's wrong. What do you need to do? What are expectations along the way? We're going to set our plan where we test it. Now we're going to run a treatment plan. Then we're going to retest in a couple of weeks to see what's changed. So we're going to course correct along the way. That's what self-care is, okay? That's what real healthcare is. You got to understand that self-care is the real healthcare. And then when you look at managed care versus self-care, managed care is all about profit-driven, one-size-fits-all. Everybody who has blood sugar issues gets this drug. Everybody who has this insurance gets this protocol. That's what managed care does, okay? And it's only about temporary relief, and it's relief of symptoms only, not getting to the root cause. And then the reality is that with managed care, just like let's just say if you're a diabetic, it's a really easy thing to talk about. Diabetes is an insulin resistance issue, and it's an issue of metabolism. It's not a metformin deficiency. Okay, it's not a glucophage deficiency. It's not an Ozempic deficiency. Okay, so it's all about finding the root cause of the problem. So if you want root cause, you're in the right place. We're going to get after it today. So let's have a conversation about root cause and see if we can get some success with this. So let's talk a little bit about the most common root causes. So I want to know, what symptoms or problems do you guys want to talk about? I want to know. Type in the chat, what symptoms or problems do you want to talk about? Because I'm going to pick all those symptoms apart, and I'm going to tell you how the symptoms that you're dealing with, even the diseases that you're dealing with, are all stemming from usually one of these 10 causes. There's typically 10, you guys. There's typically 10 root causes that people have. Okay. And I don't care if it's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. I don't care if it's any of those. I don't care if it's managing someone who's got depression, anxiety, insomnia, GI problems, if it's chronic fatigue or all of it. It all stems down to there is a combination of imbalances in the body here. Okay. So let me just say one more time. Can anybody help me fix the restream? I can't see any of the chats, and I'm trying to communicate with our community. I don't know. This has never happened before. It must be a technical issue, and I'm not able to fix it. Sorry, I'm just messaging my team saying, hey, help me out. I'm dead in the water here. I can hardly see any of your messages. So I see heart arrhythmias. I see endometriosis. I see, okay, let's talk about the root cause of heart arrhythmias and endometriosis. I'm going to tell you, with endometriosis, did you guys, by the way, just see that polycystic ovarian syndrome just got a completely different change of a name? Do you guys see that? Okay, make sure you guys are sharing this as well. Somebody do me a favor, type in the chat PCOS. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is no longer called polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's now polycystic metabolic dysfunction. Multi-metabolic, multi-organ dysfunction. So we know that any type of heart arrhythmias, any type of AFib, any type of heart issues, circular, cardiovascular issues, metabolic dysfunction in the brain, usually starts with one of the main things in here, which is typically insulin resistance, okay? If we get insulin resistance under control, we can get so many things under control in the body, okay? Now, here's what I want you to understand. is that every time your insulin goes up, I just did a workshop on this the other night. Insulin is a hormone, okay? In fact, let me just show you this. It's one of the most important hormones. Because if you don't understand this, if you can't understand this, this is such a big piece of the puzzle, okay? So when we talk about hormones, because so many of you want to talk about hormones all the time and blood sugars, and polycystic ovarian syndrome is a multi-organ metabolic hormonal dysfunction. So we've got a cascade of hormones in the body. Most people have heard of growth hormone, right? They call growth hormone the master hormone. Well, it's not. I mean, you can call it that, but insulin is right underneath that. So we got growth hormone, then we got insulin, then we get your sex hormones. These are things like your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone. Then we got hormones for metabolism, like your thyroid. We've got things like for hunger. You guys heard of food noise? Those food noise hormones are leptin and ghrelin. Okay. So when you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, when you've got diabetes, when you've got insulin, it's because of insulin sensitivity. So I need you to understand that whenever insulin is high, okay, you're going to have low testosterone, low estrogen, low progesterone. Ladies, your estrogen to be optimized needs to be around 100, okay? Guys, our testosterone for optimization needs to be a minimum of 500. Ladies, your progesterone, we like a sweet spot of that to be at least 44, okay? That's like a balance, but you can do all the work you want. I have so many people that come into my practices and say, Doc, I know my hormones are completely jacked up and completely whacked up. But the reality of it is that it's not these hormones, it's this hormone. And if you can control insulin, you can deal with high cholesterol, high blood pressure. You can deal with a pendulum belly. You can deal with chronic fatigue. Listen, I'm telling you, we have had massive success in helping reverse neurocognitive disease and dysfunction in humans in our physical practice. And we do that by helping get insulin resistance under control, okay? So when this guy's high, what else happens is thyroid function goes low. How many of you have been told your thyroid is dysfunctioning? How many of you have been told that your thyroid is a hypothyroid? How many of you have been told that? Type "that's me" in there if you've had that, because your thyroid's, gosh bless it, it gets blamed for things that it's not responsible for all the time. Okay, and then if you get problems with these hormones, leptin and ghrelin are the hormones that make you feel full and make you feel hungry. And so that food noise that you hear people talking about all the time, that they're taking these shots, boop, boop, which we help people support that stuff. But to calm the food noise down, it's all about insulin. And so you can control your insulin. And we've done workshops and programs on this by using intermittent fasting. Okay. Number one, intermittent fasting, and I can come back and tell you guys how to reverse insulin resistance if you want to go deeper with it. But intermittent fasting is the key, and using some tools for fasting. If you can do that, if you can get your insulin levels to stay down, because every time you eat a meal, let me just show you this. Every time you eat anything, you're going to get some insulin spikes for the most part. As long as if it's above 20 calories, it's going to break a fast. And almost every time you eat anything, you're going to get increase in insulin. So watch this. Let me show you this. If you got high cholesterol, if you got high blood pressure, if you got type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, if you're dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, if you're dealing with your brain is not functioning and working like it's supposed to, one of the main root causes of that is clearly going to be insulin resistance. Okay. So what you can do to help yourself with that, number one, is fasting. Let's talk about fasting for a minute, okay? I need you guys to hear this because this is one of the number one root causes of your health problems. If you can help get to the root cause of the problem, you can fix the problem and be done with it. If not, you're gonna have to manage it the rest of your life. So fasting is a powerful tool. Let me show you why it's powerful. So pretend this is your insulin graph or your blood sugar graph. Every time you eat a meal, sugar goes up, insulin goes up. So breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, etc. We've been told wrongly that we need to be eating 4 to 5 small meals a day. That is crazy, especially for 95% of us. Now, those of you who are, very active, very super fit, who are eating low calorie, high nutritionally dense meals, you guys can get away with that. But it's almost impossible to eat this. No, it is impossible to eat the standard American diet and have your insulin levels balanced. Okay. So insulin is one of the root causes. Somebody type in insulin resistance root cause, number 1. Now, if I can get you to fast, here's what we found. Most people eat breakfast at 8 a.m., just globally, 8 a.m. The studies and research has clearly told us if we can get you from 8 a.m., stop your 8 a.m., if I can get you to have your first meal at 11 a.m., hold off on breakfast from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m., and if I can have you done eating at 7 p.m., okay, that's an 8-hour window of fasting. If you have your first meal at 11 and your last meal at 7, if we can eat within a 6 to 8 hour window, that is a tight window for people to control insulin. Now, some people have trouble with fasting. I totally get it. That's because you're metabolically inflexible. So there are some biohacks. I'm going to show you a couple of those biohacks, and then I'm going to show you some of the other root cause problems. Okay. So what I'll tell you is this: if you cannot fast from 8 o'clock until 11, go to 8:30, and then try the next week, go to 9, and then 9:30, and then 10. And once you get to that sweet spot of around 11 a.m., that's when you can have your first meal. But the deal is when you eat your first meal, okay, this is so important. When you eat your first meal, it's got to be in a sequence, okay? Now, if you'll eat your meal in a sequence, it keeps the insulin from spiking, okay? So if you'll eat your meal and the first thing you do is fiber first, okay? If you'll eat fiber first, in fact, what I do is I take a fiber before I eat a meal. In fact, I don't have it in front of me, but there's a fiber we use called konjac root fiber. That konjac root fiber coats my intestinal lining and it blocks absorption of sugars and it blunts the insulin spike by like 30%. So if I take fiber first, I can reduce my sugar and insulin spikes by between 20% and 30%. Like that's powerful right there. That's when you eat your meals. If you eat fiber first, that will help you. But what happens when you go out to eat, what's the first thing they give you is they give you bread or chips. That's the worst thing that can happen because that's a massive insulin spike. That's actually going to make you hungrier later. So when you eat your meal, you eat fiber first at your meal. And then second, you're going to eat protein and fat. Proteins and fats. That's the second thing you eat is proteins and fats. Whether that's a protein drink, whether that's a piece of animal protein, or it's vegetable proteins. We typically prefer awesome. Good proteins, high protein, especially that first meal of the day. Okay. And most people need to be getting around 30 to 40 grams per meal. Okay. Per meal. All right. Of protein. Then the third thing that you eat to keep your insulin under control is you eat your veggies in that sequence. This will coat the intestines, lower the sugars. This will also, if you eat this first, it increases GLP-1 production in the body, all right, which is what we want. And then if you eat your veggies, now it gives you some more fiber and it gives you the macro and micronutrients that your body needs. And then step number 4 is you eat your carbs. Okay, so if you'll fast, and then if you'll eat in that sequence, we can blunt down insulin resistance. And if you'll stay consistent doing that, and that's not difficult to do, if you'll stay consistent doing that, then you can absolutely unequivocally beat insulin resistance quickly. Most of our patients will beat it within about 90 days, which is 3 months, or it takes them up to 6 months if they're a little slower. Now, let me show you this. There are a couple biohacks that we use, okay? There's a biohack that we use to help with fasting. Okay, this is really important because fasting is a powerful, powerful tool, but it needs to be done properly. Okay, most people are screwing themselves up with fasting because when you fast, when you eat less frequently and you may eat less calories, your own metabolism is going to turn down. So did you know that if you eat less frequently and if you eat less calories, your metabolism turns down? And yes, you can do this every meal. Okay. Now listen, let me explain this. So here's how to keep your metabolism up and do this, get the result you're looking for and not have the side effects. Okay. So there's a couple things that we do to help with fasting. I'm going to give you some biohacks. Okay, we're talking about, by the way, we're talking about root causes, okay? I'm going to give you 10 root causes today. We're talking about number 1 right now. So somebody type in the chat, insulin resistance, number 1 root cause, okay? That's what we're talking about. Now, I laid out kind of a lifestyle. Now I'm going to talk about some biohacks that you can do that we use with our patients that help immensely, I mean, ridiculously get them into fasting and into ketosis and help them sustain it so that they don't have any problems, because it's easy to fast short term, but if your body's metabolically inflexible, it's very difficult to eat between 11 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Okay. So here's what we do. One of the biohacks that I use is I use a tea. Okay. I use a tea. I'm sure you guys have heard of yerba mate tea. Okay. I use yerba mate tea. So many people ask me all the time, what are you always drinking out of your little mason jar? This is yerba mate tea. Now, this is a specific type of yerba mate tea. Let me show you something. If I can put this up here, maybe I can do this. Let me try. Let me put something on the screen for you guys to check out. Let me see if I'm technical enough to do this. So I use a specific type of yerba mate tea. It's a specific type of tea that's, there we go. That's, there we go. That when we use it, it helps raise your GLP-1 production by 41%, which is huge. All right, this is the tea that I use. Okay, all right, you guys see this? Perfect. So this is the tea that I use. All right, this is a bar graph of the benefits of certain types of tea. This commercial yerba mate, which is what a lot of my patients used to drink. Now we're all drinking what's called Unimate-te, okay? Because I want to get something in it called cholinergic acid. The cholinergic acid is what helps with GLP-1 production, liver detoxification. It lowers insulin sensitivity, helps with blood sugar balance. If you'll do that tea, it's a sipping tea. I mean, look how much higher this is, the Unimate-te. It's so much higher in yerba mate concentration for what I want to do. If you can see where it talks about the cholinergic acid right there. Sorry, my face is right in the screen. And then here, I'll just pull it up on my phone. So if you look at it, it shows the high levels of theobromine. Theobromine is fantastic for like that focus concentration that keeps your brain occupied, busy, and focused. We have a lot of patients that have, ADD, ADHD, all those kinds of concentration issues. This helps them with that without having jitters as well. And then, so it's got a high dose of that, but look how high the cholinergic acid. The cholinergic acid is such an important tool for the body for so many reasons. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's a powerful, powerful tool that we use. Here, you guys are asking, where do you get that? I'll show you where I get that. The tea that I use, that Unimate-te, that's the link at the bottom, okay? So if you use the herbal tea, I drink one in the morning and then I drink one in the afternoon, okay? So I'll sip one. It's a sipping tea. I've had this one going not very long. Full transparency, I drank a half of one before I started this morning. So I'm just sipping. And that tea, this one will last me about 3 hours, okay? That'll blunt my cravings. That'll keep my brain function turned on. That'll also help with my blood sugars, and it increases GLP-1 by 41%. Somebody put that in the chat. Unimate-te increases GLP-1 41%. That's huge. So that's a biohack we use for fasting. The second thing I use is called BHB. Somebody type in the chat BHB, and I'll tell you what it is. BHB, okay? So BHB is a powerful tool for you to be using, okay? BHB is beta-hydroxybutyrate, and BHB is, BHB is, a supplement that you can take that helps with ketosis. How many of you ever heard of ketosis before? Do you guys know what ketosis is? So BHB. All right, there you go. Thank you. So BHB, which we put BHB in our cell signal formula. Okay, so BHB makes the shift in your body from a sugar burner to a fat burner. That's what BHB does. Okay, so here, let me show you this. So BHB, what BHB does is it helps our body stay in ketosis. Okay, do me a favor, type in the word ketosis. Ketosis. Okay, yes, ketosis. All right, what ketosis is a physiological state of healing in the body. When your body is in ketosis, the brain can heal, the organs can heal, the gut that is leaky with most people can heal. Okay. And so BHB forces our body to get into ketosis. Honestly, most of my patients, when they take this, within about 20 to 30 minutes of taking this, get into ketosis. So what I do is I sip my tea in the morning, because fasting is a big part of how I live. When you fast, you live longer. You have a healthier lifestyle. Your body repairs itself. You get into autophagy quicker, especially if you get BHB. Like, that's the magic trick. You've got to have the right combination of everything in the body. So here's what we do. Biohack number 2 for fasting is we use BHB, and I use the formula called Cell Signal that we made through BioLimitless. Okay. Now, that formula also opens up your detox pathways, because many of you guys know the way I operate is if I'm going to make a nutritional formula for our community to use, and by the way, this formula, everybody's using this formula. It's fantastic. We use this with what we call the 3-step reset, okay? And this formula, not only does it help your brain turn back on, your body burn fat as fuel, but it helps with focus, concentration, liver detoxification, and it gives you that calm focus intensity. So I do in the morning for my fasting, I'll sip on this and take 3 of these. And then at noon, I'll have another tea. And these teas, all you do is open it up, little stick pack, put it in water and drink it. And then I take 3 more of those. You do that. That's the protocol. Okay. Now here's the third key, the third piece of the puzzle. I'm going to leave this one here for you. The third piece of the puzzle to fix insulin resistance. Okay. The third piece. And by the way, if you guys want an insulin resistance protocol, put insulin resistance protocol in the bottom. Just type in insulin resistance protocol and I'll have somebody get that to you. Okay. But here's what we'll do. So the third thing is fiber. Now the type of fiber is called konjac root fiber. Konjac root fiber. Somebody type that in the chat. Konjac root fiber. Okay. Konjac. Konjac root fiber. So konjac root fiber is a real particular type of fiber. How many of you guys remember Rexall pharmacies? You guys remember Rexall pharmacies? Yeah, Rexall. Yes, Rexall actually was reversing type 2 diabetes way back in the day, and they had a patent on a certain type of fiber. Well, that fiber patent was purchased by another company, put on the shelves because pharmaceutical companies don't want natural solutions and cures out there when they can sell you billions of dollars of metformin, insulin, and glucophage and other, drugs. And so what happened was the patent expired, and then another group, guys that I know, purchased that, and now they're able to sell konjac root fiber, which, let me tell you something, konjac root fiber. So this konjac root fiber can reduce your glucose by 27%, and it can reduce your insulin spikes by 37%. Okay. So when you take that fiber, I take that konjac root fiber right now. I'm taking a little bit of it before every meal. But most people will do fine if they just take a big dose of it, the regular dose of it, before their big meal of the day. And if you want to learn about that, it's called the Feel Great system. It's actually in the bottom right there. That's the little ticker going across. That's the place where you can find it. So you get the tea, okay? The tea, by the way, I'll just tell you, just so if you guys go look for it, the tea is called Unimate-te. Somebody type that in the chat for me because people want to know it. Unimate-te. Yeah, Unimate-te. Yeah, Unimate-te. Okay. And then, by the way, Unimate-te, that tea is in the physician's desk reference. Do you know what that means? That means that tea has been purified and put into what we call a nutraceutical blend. And so it's in the physician's desk reference, which means it has clinical applications. It's not a drug. It's not a supplement. It's a nutraceutical. It works. That's why it does what it does, because regular Unimate-te teas doesn't do that. Okay. So Unimate-te is the tea, and then the fiber is called Balance. And it's called the Feel Great system. Okay. And if you'll do that and just do that consistently and follow the protocols on the insulin resistance program, you guys, you'll be able to reverse insulin resistance. And then it becomes part of your lifestyle. And fasting, here's the other thing with fasting is change is good. Mixing things up is a powerful tool. So, maybe one day or a couple days a week you fast and have 2 meals a day. And some days you'll fast and have 1 meal a day. And some days you can go and have, no meal a day, doing a 24-hour fast. Those are totally fine things to do as well. So we just finished talking about step one, number one, okay, which is insulin resistance. Okay. That's number one. We just handled that. That's root cause number one. Okay. Now let's talk about root cause number two. Okay, let's talk about root cause number two. Okay, root cause number two, toxemia. We find this on every darn body. Okay, everybody's body. Okay, let me give you an example. This is a blood test that I just got this morning from a patient of mine. He's got, I'll show you. He's got heavy metals in his system. When we look at the blood, high levels of arsenic, high levels of cadmium, high levels of uranium, high levels of lead as well. We find these on all kinds of people. You've got heavy metals in your body. In fact, you can test for it to see the toxicity load, because we find it all the time. I just had a couple of people just yesterday that we literally were able to tell them, you've got lead poisoning. Okay. Like, you need to do something about this. You've got lead poisoning, right? So when we find heavy metals, microplastics, PFAS, forever chemicals, and other environmental toxins, those are also root causes. Okay, so somebody type in at the bottom. Okay, type in the bottom. You guys type in the bottom, toxemia. Okay. Now, how many of you have ever been tested for heavy metals or microplastics or any of those kinds of things before? How many of you type in the chat? That's me. If you've been tested for heavy metals. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. When you get heavy metals, microplastics, glyphosate in the body, glyphosate's a big one. When glyphosate is such a damaging thing in the human body, it's so bad for you. You need to be protecting your terrain, but you can never fix leaky gut. You can never fix all these problems of chronic inflammation until you get the toxins out of the body. Okay, we have a whole protocol on toxemia that we use, but when you've got insulin resistance, it's almost impossible to get the toxins out, because when you have insulin resistance, what happens with insulin resistance is you get liver toxicity. Most people will get fatty liver syndrome. And the liver is the organ that helps push a lot of these toxins out. You detox through your skin, through your small intestine, through your breath, which is your lungs, and through your urine, which is your kidneys. All right. But the liver and the kidneys play a huge role in that. Okay. Now, how many of you have heard of people? Good morning, by the way, guys. Good to see you, Kim. Good to see you, Phyllis. Hi, Julie. Great to see you guys as well. Type your questions in the chat below and we'll talk about it. Okay. We just got done talking about root cause number one, which is insulin resistance. Now we're talking about root cause number two, which is toxemia. Okay. I just had a patient yesterday. His name's Luke. Luke is a former military guy. He was in the Gulf War. How many of you have ever heard of Gulf War syndrome? Okay. Or how many of you have ever heard of the tar pits that they had in that were burning in the Middle East. And a lot of these soldiers were around these tar pits breathing in these toxins that ultimately destroyed their lungs, their brains, their bodies, and etc. There's a lot of people still residually dealing with that. We have here in Missouri, we've got 2 locations that are literally like, Aaron Brockovich's like story number 2 and number 3. We have in North County, St. Louis, we have a place called Coldwater Creek. We have a tremendous amount of environmental toxins there. And then out in Weldon Spring, Missouri, which is right where I live, that's where Mellencrot, when they made the atomic bomb, that's where Mellencrot dumped the radioactive uranium waste. So we have a lot of waste in Missouri, just like you guys have in your states. And most of you don't even know you have it. So I was talking to this patient of ours, his name's Luke, and Luke started a detox protocol with us 6 months ago. Okay. And Luke had elevated lead, elevated arsenic, and off the charts uranium. Okay. And so this guy was really sick, like sick, super sick. So we started opening up his liver. We're working on insulin resistance. And then we put him on a protocol to help push the toxins out of the body. Okay. Now you can get heavy metals, microplastics, and forever chemicals out of the body. But you need to understand something. Your body is not designed. It was never designed to push all this stuff out. Heavy metals, yes, but microplastics, that's a man-made thing, okay? So when you have microplastic issues in your body, you're going to have problems, okay? Big problems. And the microplastics actually get in between the cells and cause cell damage. The microplastics also, you've heard of leaky gut before, which is one of the, we call root causes as well. But many of you have heard that, your intestinal tract is only one cell layer thick, right? Like it's literally one cell layer thick. And so when you get microplastics that get into the bloodstream, or heavy metals, but microplastics more than not, pretend this is your intestines. This blue thing is a microplastic. What happens is now it's going to get into this little junction in here, and it's going to wedge in between there, and it's going to cause a hole. It's going to cause the intestines to spread. Well, when the intestines spread, now remember, in your intestinal tract, you got all these toxins. Like you have enough toxins inside your intestines. One person has enough toxins in their intestines to kill everybody on this live right now. One person does. That's why if your appendix ruptures, if you don't get something done with it, you get sepsis and you die. Like immediately you die. Okay, or within a couple of days you die, depending on how healthy you are. But if those toxins leak out, now you got not just a leaky gut, but you got a leaky brain. And that's all caused by the body having these microplastics and these toxins inside of it. So you need to understand that there are normal pathways that the body detoxifies through. So when you take detoxification supplements or you do things to detoxify, all you're doing is helping amplify your natural detoxification principles. There's nothing that's out there that you're going to take within reason that is going to pull all the toxins out of your body. So let's talk a little bit about what we recommend for people to get rid of toxemia. Okay. Now let's talk about root cause number 2, toxemia. Okay. So root cause number 2, toxemia. How do we get rid of it? All right. You want to learn about this? Type in the chat. Yes. If you want to learn about how to get rid of toxins in your body. Okay. Microplastics, heavy metals, etc. It's the number 2 cause. Number 2 root cause. Toxemia. Okay, so we have toxins in our body. How do we get them out? Number 1, we have to mobilize. Okay, how do you mobilize toxins? You have to get them moving. You have to get the toxins moving in your body. Okay, so step 1, how do we get toxins moving? You got to move. Okay, there's 2 things you can do to get your toxins mobilized. Number 1 is muscle movement. Okay, so you moving, you doing physical exercise, especially lead. Lead gets in the bone marrow. Ladies, especially you, listen, when lead gets in the bone marrow, you can't get calcium, magnesium, zinc, and other minerals inside the freaking bones. So you get osteoporosis and osteopenia. You get joint pain from this, okay? So we've got to move the body. You can mobilize them by moving the body. Muscle movement, number 1. And then deep breathing. Deep breathing. That diaphragm, deep diaphragmatic breathing moves the lymphatics, okay? So number one, we got to mobilize it, okay? Now, the second step, the second step to get things mobilized in your body and get it from the bones, from the tissues into the bloodstream, we got to get your body eating it up. We got to get your body dealing with something called autophagy. Autophagy is your body cleaning itself up. It's self-cleanup. And guess how we get the body into autophagy? The same thing I told you about how to fix and deal with insulin resistance. Every single person that I have that has toxemia, I put them on the insulin resistance protocol. Why? Because fasting and ketosis are the keys. Fasting and ketosis are the keys, okay? If we can get the body moving, okay, breathing and get your body moving, doing some resistance training, and then get you using the fasting protocols and ketosis. So we talked about the teas, okay, and fiber. And then we talked about BHB here. That gets everything moving, okay? Now we got it moving. Okay? So now we got it moving. We got to bind it. Let's talk about step 3 is binding, okay? So step 3, we got to bind it. So what's a binding? Binders, okay? Binders and chelators, okay? Step 3 is binders and chelators. So what's a binder and a chelator? So once we get all of the heavy metals and microplastics and toxins moving into the bloodstream or into the bowels, we have to have something to grab that, okay? So we need to grab it with something. Now, what we use to grab it's very straightforward and very simple, and it works. We've got 3 clinical studies that shows this is the bomb to do this with. And I've made detox protocols. I've been doing this now. This is my 6th iteration. Our Detox Pro Plus has binders in it. Now, Kim's right. Charcoal's amazing, but you want to use micronized charcoal. Okay, so we use micronized charcoal. It's nano-sized charcoal. Why? Because it doesn't bind and hurt problems with the kidney. It doesn't cause your other supplements or medications not to absorb or to use like it's supposed to. That's why we made this. Okay, so what are good binders? So we use a few binders in our detox formula. So I'm going to put Detox Pro Plus. Now it's really important. It's really important that you understand the methodology behind this. Please listen to this. Okay. So in the Detox Pro Plus, we have nano charcoal, okay, nano-sized charcoal. That's a big one. We also have in this fulvic acid. Fulvic acid is a fantastic binder. We have humic acid. Okay, so we also have carbon 60. These are all binders and chelators. They grab the heavy metals. They grab the microplastics. They grab even the debris from parasites and from mold and mycotoxins. They'll grab that stuff. They'll bind it like a sponge, and then you'll poop it out, okay, or you'll urinate it out. We also have in here a really great form of zeolite. It has to be a certain type. I'll spell it C-L. I can't spell for crap. Calyptonite, zeolite. That's a big one. Calyptonite, zeolite's like a little magnetic sponge that grabs heavy metals. And then, that's the big thing. So we've got charcoal, fulvic acid, humic acid. These are huge binders. This one right here is the Trojan horse. It gets into the blood. It's been shown to get across the blood-brain barrier. This one is powerful. And then this one is more for the gut. So blood, cells, gut. This is everything. Carbon 60 is a huge binder and chelator. And then zeolite grabs your heavy metals, which heavy metals, remember this, guys, heavy metals are food and they create the environment for parasites to thrive in, okay? So what you do is you'll take about half a teaspoon Okay, about a third to a half a teaspoon of the Detox Pro Plus. All you got to do is do that once a day. It's got the same properties that TRS used to have, the same properties my Wellness Warrior used to have that I created, the same properties my Detox formula created, and then it's got now the newest and latest greatest is the Detox Pro Plus. The Pro Plus in it is once we pull, this is important, okay? You got to understand this. So step 1 is mobilize, step 2 is autophagy, step 3 is binders. Step 4, this is really important, is we got to remineralize. This is where people really get screwed up. You've got to remineralize. That's step 4, remineralization, okay? This is why you've got to add back the minerals. So you got to add back minerals. Now, in the Detox Pro Plus, in the Detox Pro Plus formula, we put in it Shilajit. Okay, Shilajit is the shit. Somebody can type that in the chat if you like. It has 84 ion minerals and trace minerals. So this Shilajit formula has 84 minerals in it. So after we pull the heavy metals and microplastics out of the cells and the bowels, we have to backfill it with something. Okay, so Shilajit is a powerful, powerful tool. By the way, you guys can find, let me just show you this. You can find the Detox Pro Plus formula here, okay, at BioLimitless. All right, BioLimitless.com. You can find the detox formula there. So you got to remineralize the body. This is where people screw up, because most people understand mobilizing. If they can get into autophagy and fasting and ketosis, that is huge. I use cell signal formula here, and then we use our Detox Pro Plus for the binders here, and then for the minerals here. And then the last thing is we got to keep your bowels moving. Okay, if you're not having at least one bowel movement a day, then you've got to use what we call an osmolarity drink, where at least once, if not twice a day, you take about 6 to 8 ounces of water, okay? 6 to 8 ounces of warm water, okay? Put a half a tablespoon to a full tablespoon of good organic sea salt in there. I like sea salt better than most others, okay? Baja Gold, Icelandic, Redmond's Real's okay. But if you'll do that, not only will that help remineralize your body, but if you'll chug that down with about 300 milligrams of magnesium, it keeps the bowels moving. So step number 5 is bowel evacuation. We got to keep it moving, okay? Bowel movement, okay? You should have at least 1 to 2 BMs a day, okay? If you don't, you're constipated, all right? So what do you do to do that? How do you do to do that? Hey, type in the chat. I want to know your guys' trick. Type in the chat. What's your trick to keep your bowels moving? Okay. Julie, I love your comment. What's your tip or trick to keep your bowels moving? By the way, konjac root fiber will keep your bowels moving. Okay. So there's a couple things that we tell people to do. Number 1, get about 4 to 6 ounces of warm or hot water. Okay. Put about a half to a full tablespoon of good, healthy salt, organic sea salt in there. Okay. Take 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. Okay. Use konjac root fiber and drink it down. If you'll do that, you will have a bowel movement. Do that in the evening. You'll have a really nice bowel movement the next morning. Okay. Those are really, really powerful things to do. Okay. If you'll do that, that will help your body keep the toxemia out of it. Okay. So if you guys want a detox protocol, just type in the word detox protocol at the bottom, and we'll get you guys the detox protocol as well. Okay. Perfect. All right. You guys are the best. Osmolarity. Yeah. That osmolarity recipe works fan-freaking-tastic. It'll keep you rocking and rolling. So this is how you deal with toxemia in the body. Now, there's other things you can do. Like there's other foods you can eat. Like high fibery foods is a powerful thing to do. Obviously, we want to minimize our exposure to toxemia, which is why, drinking out of glass bottles instead of plastic. When you get your food from the butcher or whatever, take it out of the plastic wrapper. Don't microwave in plastic. All those things that honestly are pretty commonsensical, but we don't live in a common sense world anymore. So if you'll do that, that will help. And then there's other foods too, like cilantro. Eating cilantro is really good for detox. So is spirulina. Those are really good for detox as well. If you guys want that detox protocol, just type detox protocol on the bottom and we'll do that. So, all right. So far this morning, we've talked about insulin resistance, root cause, and we've talked about toxemia as a root cause. You guys have any questions about any of those so far? Because I'm telling you, if we clear up insulin resistance, boom, that's a root cause we can knock out pretty easy. Toxemia, that's another root cause that we can knock out pretty simply as well. Okay. By the way, I think it's interesting that RFK and the U.S. government at HHS has decided to invest $144 million into what they're calling the war on microplastic. Somebody do me a favor, type that in the chat. War on microplastic. Okay. War on microplastics. Okay. Yeah. So $144 million war on microplastics to, well, how do I say this? To really, I guess, more or less educate people on what I just told you. Okay. Because RFK knows this. He's been hip to all this stuff. RFK knows about this. I know for a fact he knows about this because I've seen him get a bottle of it before. I'm giving it to him. All right. So let's talk about the third leading cause. Okay. Let's talk about the third leading cause of, in no particular order. Okay. This is called sympathetic overload, root cause problems. Root cause problem number 3, sympathetic overload. Let's talk about this. How many of you, or maybe it is you, how many of you know people who could sleep all day, sleep all weekend, go have a great vacation and still be freaking exhausted? How many of you, that's you? That's what we call wired and tired. Okay. If you're wired and tired, that is a problem. That means your gas pedal in your brain is stuck on go and your brakes are not working like they're supposed to. So let's have that conversation. Let's talk about what do I mean by that? So let me show you something. This is something that we educate our patients on. We show them this all the time. So, and we measure this in our practices. We literally measure brain activity. So just check this out. So you got 2 components of your brain that you need to understand. All right. You have a gas pedal and you have a brake pedal. Okay. So gas pedal, brake pedal. Okay. So the gas pedal is your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight response. Most people, the gas pedal is stuck on go. When this goes up, this goes down. This is the relaxation part of the brain. This is the part of the brain that helps you rest, relax, grow, develop, heal, burn fat as fuel, concentrate, focus, have digestion, have metabolism, all the things, right? Well, if you see when this goes low and this goes high, this is the fight or flight response, we get all kinds of symptoms. Symptoms like you could get poor attention, impulsiveness, distraction, irritability, low pain threshold. You could get things like migraines, headaches, seizures, hot flashes, bedwetting, panic attacks, mood swings, bipolar, anxiety, heart racing, palpitations, irritable bowel, cold hands, cold feet. And then it can lead to these diseases when you're exhausted, like cancers and rheumatoid and ALS and depression and MS. All these things can happen all because the brain is off. And usually it's because this part right here, the parasympathetic, the rest and relaxation part of the brain is not working. So if we can get the vagus nerve, okay, because that's what it is. If we can get the vagus nerve to work better, then everything works better. Okay, so somebody type in the chat vagus nerve exercises. I want to teach you some of these things that you can do. Now, just remember this: your vagus nerve, the part of the brain that needs to be stimulated. Again, let me show you this. Think about your brain having 2 parts to it. Okay, 2 different muscles. You got one muscle on this side and another muscle on this side. And because of the stress of our world, okay, physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, this muscle is getting used all the time. Well, if you're constantly, contracting your left arm and you're not doing anything to the right arm, your right arm is going to get weak. It's going to stay weak. Your left arm is going to be the dominant one. Well, most of us, because of our physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, because we let those rule the day, then when the sympathetics are stuck on, that's our response. That's our, and people, when they're in that, they are reactive, not responsive. Does that make sense? You react to things instead of respond. Okay. You guys type your questions in the chat if you want to talk about some of your health challenges. So what we got to do now is strengthen this guy. And so I'm going to share with you a couple things that we can do to strengthen the vagus nerve. Okay. Number one, have you guys ever seen people whenever they're stressed out, their ears get real red? Have you seen that? Okay. So if your ears are getting red, the reason why the ears get red is because you can actually stimulate your vagus nerve by stimulating your earlobes and your eardrums. Did you know that? You have an auricular branch of your vagus nerve. So you can literally stimulate that by grabbing the earlobes like this, squeezing them and pulling them. I know I look a little goofy doing that, and you can drain your sinuses apparently. But doing this, massaging them aggressively, pretty hard, stimulates your vagus nerve. This can help you fall asleep at night. This can help you go back to sleep at night. If you're having a panic attack, you can literally rub your earlobes like this and take some deep breaths and it'll go away. You can also massage the side of your neck. The vagus nerve runs down the side of the neck through your sternocleidomastoid muscle. So massaging the neck, like getting that thing to massage, getting that moving can help with that. Going and seeing a chiropractor, that's a big one. Did you know that your vagus nerve starts and comes out of the base of your skull right here? This is an example of your spine. Your skull is here. Your vagus nerve comes out of the base of the skull right there. And it goes down and controls your thyroid, your heart, your lungs, your bowels, your intestines, your reproductive organs. It tells everything to work. It's the connection between your organs and the brain. It's the brain-gut connection. It's the brain-liver connection. It's the brain-testicle connection. It's the brain-heart connection. It's all connected through the vagus nerve. So you can stimulate that by getting adjustments with the chiropractor. You can stimulate that by doing some neck exercise therapies. You can stimulate your vagus nerve by also doing breathing exercises. Okay, so there are a couple things that you can do from a breathing standpoint that can help your vagus nerve. Have you ever heard people say when you're stressed out, hey man, just take a deep breath, it's going to be okay? You ever heard that before? The reason why people say that and do that is because if you breathe deep through the nose, hold it for a couple seconds, and then breathe out through the mouth, there's a breathing technique called 4-7-8. Somebody type that in the chat. 4-7-8 breathing. Okay. So here's what you do. This is the breathing technique that will help you break out of any type of sympathetic stress. So if you'll breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, all right, then you're going to hold it for a count of around 7. Then you're going to breathe out to around a count of 8. Okay. So deep breath in through the nose, hold for 7, out through the mouth for 8. Awesome. If you'll do that, now don't pass out, don't get lightheaded, don't freaking do anything crazy like that. But if you'll do that for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it breaks up that pattern. Now I need you to understand something. Scientists have told us, science has found, we now know that the area of your brain where you feel fear is the same area, fear and anxiety is the same area where you feel gratitude and safety. So if you feel grateful and safe, and the vagus nerve is the nerve that stimulates that sensation, then you cannot be in depression and in excitement at the same time. You can't be in faith and fear at the same time. One of the things that your vagus nerve does, there was a doctor, Dr. Stephen Porges, who came up with something called the polyvagal theory, which now is polyvagal law. Its application of it is we now know that the vagus nerve itself, not only does it help with communication of organs, but it's like an antenna to the outside world. The vagus nerve is always looking and asking questions. Am I safe? Am I okay? And so if you're feeling like you're having a panic attack, if you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling overloaded, just take a couple of those 4, 7, 8 breaths and literally tell yourself out loud, I am safe, I'm okay. I know that seems a little goofy and cheesy, but I'm telling you, it freaking works. It works, and it works every darn time. This is a biohack that you can do to help yourself. You can breathe through it. Now, there are some other things that you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve. I just did it before we went on the live this morning. I went into the sink in the back and I filled it up with cold water. I took a deep breath and I put my face in that water for about 10 to 15 seconds. And I repeated that multiple times. And when I repeated that multiple times, I was able to get my vagus nerve to reset itself. My energy went up. I was ready to rock and roll. You can even take cold water and splash it on your face a few times. Now, let me show you a couple other things that you can do. Now, did you know that there's an organ behind your breastbone called the thymus? Okay. Now, the thymus, if you can stimulate the thymus, it actually will get rid of fear. It'll get your body out of a panic. Okay. This stimulates the vagus nerve as well. So, this is something that is taught to special forces. Yeah, there we go. It's actually taught to special forces individuals as well. Whenever they are, they're getting ready to jump out of an airplane or a helicopter or, behind enemy lines or something like that. They teach them pound your chest like 10 to 15 to 20 times like this. It breaks up a panic attack. I'm telling you, these are little things that you can do that will stimulate your body to help you break out of that. And if you consistently do that, like you can break up those old patterns and then reestablish new ones. Now, there are some really important things from a nutritional standpoint that also needs to be done to help with the vagus nerve, because about 20% of the vagus nerve lives up in the upper cervical spine, right? Here's a model of your spine. About 20% of that vagus nerve lives up here in the base of your skull. And the other around 80% of it is down in your GI tract, okay? Now, have you ever heard people say, trust your intuition? How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? How many of you know that phrase, trust your intuition? Yeah? So how many of you have good intuition? Did you know if you have good intuition, it's usually because your vagus nerve is dialed in and balanced? If you don't have great intuition, it's usually because your vagus nerve is not working. The antenna to the outside world, picking up on other energies around, which is a real thing, gets blunted when your vagus nerve is bad because your gut bacteria is off. Having a good, healthy gut bacteria, not only does that deal with another root cause, which is leaky gut dysbiosis, we're going to talk about in a minute, but it also deals with the sympathetic nervous system. If I want to get my vagus nerve to properly stimulate, okay, if I want to get this to properly stimulate, I've got to get my gut bacteria under control. And so that's why we recommend eating fermented foods. That's why we recommend konjac root fiber. Konjac root fiber is a very fantastic soluble fiber that is a really good fiber for, it's a probiotic, a prebiotic. It feeds the bacteria inside the GI tract. And it stimulates that vagus nerve. It stimulates the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, noradrenaline, all those kinds of things. So that konjac root fiber works fantastic. And trusting your gut is a powerful thing, but it's hard to trust your gut whenever, your gut's not working like it's supposed to. And so let me pull this up. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. Somebody just asked, where do they get the tea that we were talking about for fasting? And where do you get the konjac root fiber? It's the Feel Great BioLimitless site. And then all the BioLimitless products are at BioLimitless.com. Okay. So what else do we do for the vagus nerve? So we use a formula called the Master Microbiotics, and we use our Detox Pro Plus formula together. All right. We have a gut trio that we recommend. All of our gut patients, we put them on the Detox Pro Plus formula to remove the interference. Because when there's interference in the gut, let me tell you again, when there's interference in the gut, like heavy metals, microplastics, PFAS, glyphosates, all this kind of stuff, parasites, that's going to cause that sympathetic nervous system to shift into fight or flight response. So we use this to remove those and deter all those problems. We mix it with the Master Microbiotics. This is the blend for the gut microbiome. We studied the blue zones of the world. This is the blueprint, fingerprint that we found that has the highest potency, highest quality bacteria. We created this because it wasn't out there. And then what we do is we put everyone on a digestive enzyme with each meal. You start that and then take a little magnesium at bedtime, do those breathing exercises, and then, do the water on the face. You can also hum. Anytime if you can get vibration, any vibration, standing vibrations, powerful for your vagus nerve as well. Many of you guys have vibration plates. You can see some actually in my practice, bloop, right there. There's some vibration plates, okay? Vibration, standing vibration, or humming. If you hum and you get vibration in this area here, that's part of where your vagus nerve is as well. That's why you ever heard when people have mantras, when they meditate, Om, right? Om, it's all about stimulating the vagus nerve. Same thing with you. If you listen to certain frequencies, all right, you want to stimulate the vagus nerve. Somebody type in 528 frequency, 528 hertz. You can go on Spotify, look up 528 hertz and listen to that, put it in your earbuds, or even better, put some noise canceling headphones on. Even better, have a vibration blanket while you're listening to it. And what it'll do is it'll vibrate. That 528 frequency will vibrate and resonate your entire body into that vagus nerve stimulation. I listen to vagus nerve stimulation, 528 frequency, almost every night. 528 frequency is fantastic for that stuff. So root cause, and this is the thing. How many of you, this might be something that your doctors have checked you for, but they probably haven't made a big deal about it, okay? That's a big problem. Insulin resistance is a very big problem with people, okay? Very big problem with people, all right? Yeah, I know. So is toxemia, but most people don't test for this either. I'm just telling you, 95% of the population has some level of insulin resistance. When we talk about toxemia, listen, this is 99.9% of the population has some issues with that. And then I'm going to tell you, at least in my experience with my practice, about 90% of people are also dealing with sympathetic overload. And we can measure that. Let me show you something. Here, this is a test of a patient. So here, when we do a sympathetic brain scan test, this is what a brain scan test result looks like, okay? So when we measure in our practices, we use heart rate variability. So somebody type in the chat heart rate variability, or HRV. It's the gold standard for measuring that sympathetic and parasympathetic activity. Remember a second ago, I told you that the green on this chart right here, the green here, this right here is the parasympathetic. The green on the chart right here, if you look right here, the green here, that's parasympathetic. We want that parasympathetic to be firing at least 33%. This lady's is firing at a 54. So that's really good. Okay. And then the red is the sympathetic. We want that to be below 25. And hers is 27. So, a little higher than we like, but not horrible. We can measure not just the different aspects of the brain, but how your brain can accommodate to stress. You see, everybody's under stress. Everybody, physical, chemical, and emotional stresses. But how does your brain accommodate to it? We can measure that. And then we can actually measure the pituitary. The pituitary is the part of the brain where your hormones are generated from. So if you come to see me and we run a blood test and your hormones and insulin are out of whack and your pituitary is not balanced, okay? And if I give you hormones for that, it's never going to fix the problem. So we have to get the brain to balance before we get the hormones completely to balance. And a lot of times this is caused by insulin resistance. This is the output of the brain. So people have brain fog. This output should be around 300. This lady's is only 88. That's why she's got some brain fog going on, okay? And then we can measure the spec of the brain, so how much blood flow and wiring and firing in the neurons of the brain are there. We want to see a lot of greens and blues in here. If we see reds and blacks and yellows, that's inflammation in the brain. It's not firing like it's supposed to. And that's primarily caused by insulin resistance, okay? Do you guys know too much insulin in the brain is dementia and Alzheimer's? Too much insulin in the muscles is fibromyalgia. Too much insulin in the joints is rheumatoid arthritis. Too much insulin in the gut is IBS, Crohn's, colitis, etc. And when sugar levels go up and insulin levels grow up, you got a higher risk of growing tumors in your body. So this is insulin resistance right here. And then we measure the 5 brain waves, and every brain wave tells us something about the individual's personality, their traits and characteristics, etc. So it's pretty cool when you see those tests done. Have any of you ever had a test like that done? I know a lot of you that are my patients have had that test done before, but it's really wild to see where you're at, because I'm all about test, not guess. Okay. Now let's talk about root cause number 4. You guys learning anything today? Give me a thumbs up or let me know. Tell me if you enjoy this. Type yes, I'm enjoying this in the chat. Pretty please. Type that in there. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are the best. Oh, by the way, you guys are asking about, those of you that are asking about the balance and the konjac root, the konjac root and the tea. Okay, it's that link right here. It's the BioLimitless You Feel Great link. You can use that one to get that. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee on that, which is pretty awesome. Okay, and if you go like to Amazon to buy it, it's like $250. So if you go through that link and get it, I think it saves you like, I don't know, it's like $75 off or something like that. It's pretty good. Okay. Good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about another root cause. Okay. And by the way, when patients come to see us in our functional medicine, functional neuro root cause practice, we measure all these things. Like we measure all of them with our patients. Okay. All of them. All right. Now, number 4 root cause is leaky gut. So leaky gut, dysbiosis, low enzymes. Okay. So do me a favor, type in the chat, leaky gut at the bottom. Do me a favor, type it in, leaky gut, okay? Leaky gut. And then type in dysbiosis, please. Yep. All right, let's see here. To activate, please enable channels. Yeah, I don't understand that. One second, I'll be right there. Cool. Okay. I think we're good on all those. Now, I don't know why that's doing that. Really weird. Okay. All right. I was hoping we get our chat going, but we can't. All right. So we find dysbiosis and leaky gut. Again, I'm going to tell you, this is the population. This is what it says. 95% of the population has some level of this. Why? Because 95% of the global population do not have enough fiber or prebiotic in their diet. That's why konjac root fiber is something simple for you to do. You can drink it down once a day, take it with your biggest meal. That'll blunt your sugars, lower your insulin. It'll help your gut bacteria. It'll help the toxins in your body. It's one of the best things you can do. People who are on good, healthy fibers live a longer, healthier life with less drug dependency. So it's literally a no-brainer for people, like literally a no-brainer, okay? Now, how do you know if you have leaky gut issues? I'm just going to tell you, you do, okay? Even when you don't, you're predisposed to it. What do I mean by that? You know, you could work really, really, really hard to keep your gut healthy, keep your gut balanced, and you could drink something that has a parasite in it, or you could eat something that has a food sensitivity, or you could get emotionally stressed, or you could not sleep well, or you could see something troubling on social media, or something can trigger your brain to go from parasympathetic to sympathetic fight or flight, and the timing could be off, and it could cause you to have leaky gut. This is also something that we as humans should be working on diligently every day and for the rest of our lives, right? And it's the same process. It's the same things you do for insulin resistance, toxemia, sympathetic overload. So there's nothing additional crazy in here. If you'll live that same lifestyle of what we're talking about with insulin resistance, that protocol will help you. Now, if you get a lot of bloatiness, gas, distension, upset stomach, diarrhea, bowel problems, I'm going to show you how to fix this. So let's talk about leaky gut. Let's first talk about what it is and what it is not, okay? So many of you guys know when we eat food, so let's see, if we, let's draw a person. There's eyeballs, there's nose, there's a mouth, there's an ear. Man, I'm not a very good, he's a little stressed out, okay? There's his mouth right there, okay? Bloop. All right, when you eat food, so food, I'm such a fantastic artist. You guys are such in luck. When you eat food, food goes in the body, goes down. This is your digestive tract, goes through the stomach. There's your stomach, and then goes into your intestines, okay? So as food goes in your body, digestion happens. So here's what happens. Let me tell you something. In this area, as soon as food goes in your mouth, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to have an enzyme, ENZYME, an enzyme produced in your mouth when you eat food called amylase, AMALAYSE. Amylase is an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates. You guys like that drawing? Yeah, I know. It's pretty wild. Guys, let me know where you're watching from, okay? And make sure you share this. Please share, okay? I promise I'll break this down a little better in just a minute. So here's the stomach. Bloop, bloop. Intestinal tract. Okay? And then poop comes out of your colon. All right? All right, so when you eat here, amylase. Here's what amylase does. Amylase digests sugar and carbs. Okay? Sugar and carbs. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is important. Please hear me on this. About 90% of people over the age of 30 are not producing enough amylase. Amylase is the first enzyme when you eat food. Listen, when you eat food, amylase is the first enzyme that's produced. It makes you salivate. If you get dry mouth all the time, okay? If you get dry mouth or cotton mouth all the time, or if you got periodontal disease where like your gums are receding, that's usually a sign of amylase deficiency. If you eat carbohydrates and you get exhausted after you eat a food, that's amylase deficiency. If you have a hyperhistamine response like MCAS issues, or if you get bit by a mosquito bite and you like, if it reddens you up and pinkens you up and causes all kinds of problems, that's an amylase issue. If you startle really easy, that's an amylase issue. If you get, where else is amylase? If you get a lot of IBS, you eat foods and you got to go to the bathroom immediately, or if you don't feel satisfied after a meal unless you have some type of carbohydrate or something sweet, that's an amylase deficiency, okay? So amylase starts digesting carbs. This is the first enzyme that most people don't make. If you don't make that enzyme, you cannot digest. It's the first one in the cascade. What happens is amylase gets produced, and then we get the production of protease. Protease, oh my gosh. Protease, protease. This is for protein. That's primarily liver, and then you get lipase. Those are the primary digestive enzymes, okay? This is for fats. Now, if you don't make enough lipase, you get diabetes. If you don't make enough, by the way, if you don't make lipase, you get diabetes, fatty liver, hypertension, high cholesterol, and then you also get low hormones, okay? If you don't produce enough lipase, you can't make hormones and you can't fix neuropathy, okay? This is a big one. If you don't have protease, you can't make peptides, okay? Protease helps you break down proteins, absorb proteins, and it helps your body take those proteins and make good, healthy tissues with it, and helps make peptides. By the way, if you get low protease, you get kidney stress, you get back pain more often, joint pain, especially the knees. Lipase, if you have lipase, a lot of times people get a lot of pain in the upper shoulders. They get pain on the right side. That's liver issues because they're low with that enzyme lipase, okay? And most people, listen to this, 86%, all right? 86% of the population has low stomach acid. What? 86%. Somebody type that in the chat. 86% of the population has low stomach acid. When you have low stomach acid, you don't make these other enzymes. You don't make these, okay? And you want a simple test to find out if you've got leaky gut, and a simple test if you've got low stomach acid? All right, let me show you this. So, and then I'll get back to leaky gut in just a second. So if you, and I'm going to show you how to fix these enzymes in just a second, but here's the test to see if you have leaky gut, okay? It's called the leaky gut spit test. I learned this like literally 25 plus years ago from Dr. George Goodhart taught me this. Okay. So this is the leaky gut spit test right here. So first thing in the morning, before you brush your teeth, before you eat anything, before you drink anything, before you do anything at all, what I want you to do is get a glass of water. This is a clear glass of water. And I want you to spit in it. Okay. Just regular like saliva, like just spit in it. Not a goober. We don't need that. Okay. Just regular spit. Okay. What should happen is healthy saliva will stay up here at the top. Okay. That's healthy. If you have leaky gut, parasites, candida, fungus, some type of toxemia in your system, what will happen is that bacteria, that spit will either streak or it'll sit down at the bottom. Okay. That's bad. That means you have leaky gut positive. That's positive for leaky gut of some level. Okay. That's a big one. If you've got leaky gut, that spit test will tell you that. So it's a really great at-home test you can do that costs you $0. You can spit in that little glass, let it sit. You got to let it sit for 15 minutes. It's got to sit for 15 minutes. If you will let it sit for 15 minutes, then if it streaks or hits the bottom, that's positive for leaky gut. Okay. So that's one test that you can do to see how your gut function is. The other one is the stomach acid test. Okay. So 86% of the population does not make enough stomach acid. That's why they have heartburn and reflux. Did you hear what I said? It's not hyperproduction of acid. It's low production of acid. Because when you don't produce stomach acid, you don't make the enzymes to break down the food. When your food sits in your stomach, if you don't make enough enzymes and you don't have enough acid, the food that you eat will sit. It literally will sit in the GI tract. It will sit here. It will ferment. It will ferment. Food will sit and it will ferment. Okay. If it ferments, it's going to burn back up the throat. You're going to get GERD. 86% of people who have GERD is because of low stomach acid. 86%. Okay. You're doing it wrong. You're taking your omeprazole or your PPI medications. Yes, it's knocking down your symptoms, but it's not fixing the darn cause of the problem. Okay. So you guys, let me know if you guys can still see me and hear me. Let me know, type in where you're watching from so I can see you guys if you're still with me or not. We keep getting cut off from each other. Okay, good. How many of you have heartburn or GERD? Who's ever heard of GERD? Type in GERD in the bottom. G-E-R-D, GERD. Okay, sweet. All right, let me show you how to fix that. Okay, let's test for it first. Hey, John, before we fix it, let's test for it. So here's how we test for low acid in the stomach, okay? Go get some organic baking soda. It has to be organic. Do not use Arm & Hammer. Arm & Hammer has aluminum, lead, all kinds of toxins in it. Go get some organic baking soda, okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to get some organic baking soda, and then I want you to put a half a teaspoon, okay, in water, okay, and then drink it. And you know, it could be like 4 to 6 ounces. Just get it in you. Don't overthink the water part. Just get a half a teaspoon of baking soda in your body, okay? Now, what you do now is you wait. Now, here's the test. You should burp within 3 minutes, okay? You should burp. If you burp within 3 minutes, you have enough stomach acid. If you do not burp within 3 minutes, you do not have enough stomach acid. That's one of the down and dirty, easy ways to measure a hypochlorhydria, okay? Hypochlorhydria, okay? So, yes, low acid. So, half a teaspoon of baking soda in water, 4 to 6 ounces of water. Drink it. Wait 3 minutes. If you do not burp within 3 minutes, you have low stomach acid, okay? You guys see that? Somebody type in that test in the bottom. Type in spit test and then type in low stomach acid test. Okay. Those are super important tests that you can do. Give you an idea where you're at. It doesn't cost you hardly anything to do. Okay. No copay, no doctor's visit, no medications, none of that kind of jazz. Now, let's talk about how do we fix it. Okay. If you're getting GERD and reflux and you got these issues like 86% of the population has, how do we fix it? So let's start with two different things. I'm going to talk about how to fix GERD at the same time, how to fix leaky gut. So we're going to go with GERD, GERD, and then we're going to go with leaky gut. Okay, you're going to see a big similarity here. The first thing that we do with GERD and leaky gut, okay, the first thing that we do with both of them is chew our food. Chew our food. We want to chew it at least. You know how many times we're supposed to chew it? You're not going to believe it. Most people only chew 3 times and then swallow. It's supposed to be about 15 to 20 times. We got to mechanically break down our food a little bit better. That chewing also stimulates the production of the saliva, helps our body make enzymes, tells our sluggish digestive tract, hey, there's food coming. Get ready to digest it, okay? Get ready to digest it. Now, here's the second thing. Here's a little clinical pearl. No cold water or beverages with meal. No ice. No ice or cold fluids. Why? First of all, when you drink a lot of fluids, maybe have like one drink, one glass, one something to drink when you're eating. Because if you're drinking a lot of fluids when you eat your meals, have something to wash it down if you need that. But like if you're drinking a lot of fluids, you're going to dilute your stomach acid, number one. And number two, you're going to push the enzymes through the body in a manner that it's not going to digest your food. So that's a problem, especially cold fluids. Cold fluids are a big problem on the GI tract of the body, especially the small intestine and the vagus nerve. You're going to really jack that up. So now what do we do? Okay. Enzymes with a meal. Okay. Same thing here. Okay. Same thing. Enzymes with a meal. Why? Because you're not producing them. Okay. Once you get over the age of 30, your body stops producing enzymes in the manner that it did when you were younger. Okay. Enzymes break down food, help you absorb them, help you utilize them. They kill parasites, bacteria, candida, fungus, all kinds of stuff gets destroyed when you are doing the right amount of enzymes. We use our formula Biozyme. Okay, listen, Biozyme. So Biozyme is our plant-based multi-enzyme. You've got to use a plant-based. It has to be a plant-based multi-enzyme, and it has to have a high amount of protease, okay? There's a reason why. So first of all, this formula has a high amount. When you look at HUTs, I put on there the potency of the enzymes. If you don't see the potency of the enzymes on your label, there isn't one, okay? I put this on here because this will digest and dissolve your food, okay? You take a piece of food and just put the enzymes on it over time, it will dissolve that. And you want to have a high level of protease that has a pH between a 3 and a 9. It has to have a pH between a 3 and a 9 or it will not work in a stomach that's bad. So most of my patients eat 2 meals a day, okay? Either breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner, all right? And they typically take 2 enzymes with each meal. 2 enzymes. Typically, okay? Some people can get away with 1, but 2 enzymes is huge. Now, if you have GERD, enzymes are non-negotiable. If you have leaky gut, enzymes are non-negotiable, okay? Here's the other big thing with GERD. I want you to start using every day actually here. Let me show you this. With GERD, we're going to use apple cider vinegar, okay? We're going to do about 1 to 2 ounces of apple cider vinegar with your meal, okay? Apple cider vinegar will help get your stomach producing the right amount of acid. It'll help turn on production of those enzymes. It'll help, believe me or not, reduce inflammation of the fermentation that's sitting there. So apple cider vinegar, that's really good, and that's good with a meal. If you also have GERD, then you've got to have magnesium. So about 300 milligrams with a meal of magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is so important for digestive functionalities and etc. Like so important, all right? Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's weird. It's got to be a user problem. So hey guys, when you look at this, I can see my chats come up here, but I can't see my chat over here. and it says click here to activate, and it shows everything's activated. I've been having some problems with this, so if you guys could, I don't know what else to tell you. I know how to help people with heart disease and cancer, but I don't know how to get the chat to fix. Okay, so I need you guys to help me with that. I'm just sending a message to my tech team. Okay, so back to magnesium. This will help you with that. Now, another thing, if you did not burp with a meal, get something called TUDCA, TUDCA. TUDCA is an ox bile with a meal. That will help you, okay? And then after you eat your food, okay, here's another non-negotiable if you have GERD. Go for a 10-minute walk, okay? If you'll do that and you'll stay consistent with chewing your food, taking 2 enzymes, having some apple cider vinegar with your meal, 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, taking some TUDCA with a meal, and going for a 10-minute walk post-meal, that should really help you fix that problem. Like really help you fix that, okay? Now, my experience, the longer you've had GERD, the longer it takes to fix. Most people notice reduction in symptoms literally within about the first 2 to 3 days of doing this, but it's going to take your body at least 90 days to really help reset. And if you've had GERD to the point where you've had like Barrett's esophagitis or you had to get your esophagus stretched, that's a big issue and that's a problem. It's going to take you a couple months to solve that, maybe even up to a year, depending on how bad it is, okay? And then here's the other one for GERD at bedtime, at bed, okay? What I want you to do is a teaspoon of that organic baking soda again. Okay, just put it in water and drink it. That'll help you fix that problem. Okay, now leaky gut. Remember, leaky gut. Your intestines have this normal. Their cells are 1 layer thick. This is your intestine. So food comes in here. Okay, you got nutrients in your system, and you got toxins in your system. You got heavy metals in your system. You got microplastics in your system, and you got environmental toxins in your system. All these things, right? So what happens is food goes in here, nutrients come in, toxic waste comes out, in the toilet. It's out of your bowels, okay? And then the nutrients absorb through these cells, and then they get into the bloodstream, okay? Your red blood cells carry this around the body, okay? The problem is heavy metals, microplastics, stress, all the kinds of things cause little leaks or holes. The tight junctions in the cells start to separate. And well, now we start to get these toxins leaking out. Okay. When these toxins leak out, this is a problem. So what do we have to do to fix this? Number 1, we got to chew the food, take the enzymes. That's a non-negotiable. Number 3, we have to use a binder. That's the Detox Pro Plus. Okay. Why? Because the Detox Pro Plus will grab all the heavy metals, microplastics, and everything that's leaking into the out from the gut. It'll grab it and bind it in here so that you poop it out. Because when it binds, it's too big to get through those holes. And then any type of toxins that get in the blood supply, the binder will grab that and pull that out as well. So the Detox Pro Plus is a non-negotiable for leaky gut. It really is a non-negotiable for everybody. I mean, I think you'd be goofy if you didn't freaking take that every day. But some people are goofy. So you want to use a binder. That Detox Pro Plus will help with leaky gut, okay? And then you've got to use a fiber. So fiber. You cannot fix leaky gut unless you have fiber. And the fiber we use is konjac root fiber. Konjac root fiber is a soluble fiber. It's called, you can find it on the youfeelgreat.com site that you see there at the bottom. It's the balance, okay? This is called balance, okay? Taking that at least once a day keeps your bowels moving proper, and it feeds the good bacteria in your body. Those are non-negotiables, okay? And then we must do proper probiotics, and we call that Master Microbiotics, okay? If you don't have the right type of bacteria in your gut, you got to eat fermented food on a regular basis, okay? Fermented food on a regular basis is a big deal. And then the Master Microbiotics, it's a blend that we created after studying after studying all the blue zones of the world. We've literally traveled to the blue zones of the world, studied their fecal matters, made sure that we had the right blends, and we put together a bacteria, a fungal and a probiotic bacteria that we find is the missing link in people's health systems. So you do the Master Microbiotics. Most people just get 2 of these pills a day, but I like it taken at bed first. Okay, if you take 2 of these Master Microbiotics at bed, because the bacteria in the body grow typically when we're fasting. Okay, so you're fasting when you're sleeping. So you take this during the evening time, okay? And that'll help you grow. And then the last thing, again, non-negotiable, magnesium glycinate. And to be honest with you, I don't know why anybody messes with anything other than glycinate unless you have an allergy to it. At least 300 milligrams at bed. If you take 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate at bedtime, that will help you as well, okay? So those are all very, very powerful things that you can do. That's all to help fix leaky gut. So those are the steps for leaky gut, and those are the steps for GERD as well. Yes, perfect. All right, we got a couple more we're going to get through. You guys doing okay so far? How many of you guys enjoyed this? Type your questions down in the chat. If you have any questions about anything I've explained so far, type them down in the chat. Because listen, there's a lot of things that help people, right? Some people ask, well, why don't I use glutamate for leaky gut, or why don't I use butyrate or butyric acid? I used to use all those things, and now we've created really simple systems that work for, I'll just tell you, that work for about 80 to 90% of the population. And if it doesn't work for you, that's because there's something else going on with you that needs to be found out. And if we can find those root causes, that's why you need to work sometimes with some functional medicine people. That's why we do telehealth visits, and that's why we do, in-person visits. People come see us from all over the globe to come see us, okay? All right. Sorry if my face is staring at this, but there's the only way I can see your questions coming in. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys are. Yeah, castor oil. Somebody asked a question about castor oil. You can do castor oil in the belly button. You can do castor oil over the liver. You can do castor oil. Castor oil orally is good. I'm a big fan of castor oil, a huge fan of castor oil. Okay. It works for so many things. And there's just so many natural formulas that are so beneficial. So, okay, somebody just asked a question about health insurance. Okay. They asked me, is this covered by health insurance? A lot of things are. Like, I will tell you, anything that's in the physician's desk reference, you can use like your, your flex savings account with. Okay. So like when you go and you can, if you guys know anything about how your taxes work, anything that you invest into your health, you can write that off. You can write that off as a health expense. Right. And so the 3-step reset process, which includes the teas and the fibers, that's all your insurance. You can use your flex savings accounts for that stuff. Okay. So that's cool. But let me talk about insurance. Okay. Because real quick, I just want you to see this. So here's the deal. Here's why health insurance is, a scam. It just is. I just want you to understand that. And some of you might say, well, it's not a scam, Dr. Eric, because, if I didn't have health insurance, I wouldn't have been able to afford my hospital stay. You know what? It shouldn't cost you $100,000 to go to the damn hospital. Like, it shouldn't cost you $50,000 to have a baby. Like, that's insanity. It shouldn't cost you $1 million a year to get your cancer treatment. Like, it's insane. So this is a Medicare guideline. You guys take a picture of this or check this out. So Medicare guideline 22513 says any treatment plan that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, or prolong or enhance the quality of your life, or any type of therapy that's performed to maintain or to prevent any type of deterioration of a chronic condition is deemed not medically necessary. Well, what does that mean? It means the stuff that actually helps get you healthy isn't covered by your insurance. Why? Because insurance is part of the allopathic medical system that is all about drugs and surgery. It's just this big merry-go-round of complete crap and fraud, and we're seeing that consistently. Like, people should have the freedom to choose to do what they want with their health when they want. I mean, it's just like when we were talking about ivermectin. Okay. Ivermectin, when doctors were saying that's horse paste, I'm like, these people are idiots. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Like 90% of drugs like Tylenol, ibuprofen, prednisone, they all start as humans, and then the veterinarian world takes it over as well. Like, that's dumb. I mean, like, okay, is because, you know, my dog food, the food that my dogs eat has chicken and steak in it. Is that just for dogs and not humans? Like, how stupid are these doctors, and how ignorant are these people that play along with this bullcrap game? Like, I don't play that game. The game that I play is getting sick people well, and we're damn good at it, okay? And helping people get some common sense. So this should be criminal. You want to know why chronic illness is the number one cause of all disease in America? Because chronic illness isn't covered by your insurance, because doctors don't get paid for helping you reverse these diseases by health insurance. So if they're not going to get paid for it, they're not going to do it. If they're not going to get paid for it, schools aren't going to teach them to do that. You understand that? Like, that is crazy criminal. What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that your insurance, by the way, Medicare is the guideline for Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Aetna, UHC, all those things. All those things. It's ridiculous. You don't have insurance coverage. You have you got to pay a couple $1,000s a month in premiums for the ability to pay a couple $1,000s a year in a deductible before you even have insurance. It's the biggest damn scam that's out there, and it's sickening. It's so sickening how broken this damn system is. But anyway, let's talk about root cause stuff, because your insurance isn't going to deal anything with toxemia, anything with sympathetic overload, anything with gut dysbiosis. Barely anything with insulin resistance. All they're going to do for insulin resistance is give you insulin, which is the dumbest thing you can do. Listen, if your pancreas is shut off and you're not making insulin, then we can use insulin. But if your insulin you're insulin resistant because you're diabetic type 2 for a long time, giving you more insulin is a big problem. It is so crazy. Anyway, what are we going to do? Doctors just do what they're taught and told. They don't think. Most people don't think. That's the problem with a lot of things. All right, cell voltage. Let's talk a little bit about cell voltage. This is something that most of you have probably never heard of. This is also a root cause. Your cells, let me show you this real quick. So your cells, the cells in your body have an electrical charge to them. You know, you have 47 trillion human cells in your body. You have 47 trillion human cells. You have 100 trillion bacteria. So that's your gut microbiome. Well, it's all of your microbiome, but it's primarily your gut. You have 100 trillion bacteria, and you have 47 trillion human cells. Okay, check this out. Your cells in your body have a positive and a negative charge to them, okay? When your cells have a positive and negative charge like that, same repel each other. So there's a space. So when we look at your blood under a microscope, your red blood cells and white blood cells are kind of all over the place. Well, if you get a stressor that your body can't deal with, the polarity switches. Have you ever heard of that before? Polarity switches. This is a battery. Your cells are batteries. This is just like the Duracell batteries that's in your flashlights or in your remote controls or whatever. Like, these are batteries. And what happens is when you get physical, chemical, or emotional stress, when you get any of those other 9 root causes that you'll see on the other side of this board, what happens is the polarity switches. You get a polarity switch, and now we get a positive, negative. And now these red blood cells, instead of them being opposites, instead of them being same opposites, now they're going to attract each other. So now they start sticking together. Well, when they stick together, you get blood clots, you get slow blood flow, you get brain fog, you get fatigue. Then that leads to a whole cascade of other issues, and that's called a Rouleau, RELOUX pattern of your blood. And that's why we measure that. We do what's called the dark field blood test. Have you ever had a dark field blood test where somebody takes a drop of your blood, looks at it under a microscope, and actually analyzes the blood? It's kind of a lost art, but we do it in our practices. Microscopy used to be something that doctors learned. I learned it when I was in school. Thank God I had some great doctors teach me that. And we still to this day look at that. And most people have to go through hematology to learn that. And most hematologists really don't look at microscopy as much anymore as they used to. But you've got this polarity shift. Now all these cells start to stick together. We can measure this 2 ways. You can measure it through blood under a microscope, and you can look at the patterns, and you can look at a urine sample. If you do a urine sample and measure your pee and you measure your pH of your urine, your pH level on urine should be between a 7 and an 8.5, okay? Urinary pH, you can go to Walmart, Walgreens, or the pool store where you buy your pool supplies, and you can get some litmus paper, and you can urinate and then do a little, pee into a glass cup, and then do a dipstick, let it sit, and then measure the pH, and that will tell you what your cell voltage is like. If your pH is below a 7, your voltage goes down. These cells have a charge to them, and they're supposed to be around 90 millivolts, okay? Well, when that charge goes down, if it goes down to a 70 millivolt, then our battery gets worse, okay? So the problem is pH, low pH equals low voltage. Low voltage equals low battery. Low battery means you get up and go, got up and went, okay? Just left you, okay? Completely gone, all right? Now, you can do a urinary test to measure that, and then there are a couple of things you can do to fix that. It's all about your minerals, but it's all about recharging the cellular voltage. We made a formula that I've told you about already before called Cell Signal. This Cell Signal is a multifaceted formula that handles multiple problems that people deal with. One of them is exactly this. If you have rouleau patterns in your blood, or you have low urinary pH, the Cell Signal formula, it literally says right here, it's the cellular recharge formula. Okay, somebody do me a favor, put cell recharge in the chat. Please do that. Put cell recharge in the chat. If you do the Cell Signal formula, it turns up the voltage of your cells. That's something that like everybody needs help with. Like, just so you know, I'm shocked when I see people off the streets that aren't using this type of thing in their body. And so if you've got, think about this for a moment. If your pH is below a 7, you've got 47 trillion cells that are low function. You got your battery turned down. Like, does that make sense? Does it make sense about the cell recharge and how if your battery is low, if your cells are low, check this out. Okay, let me show you something. So here's you as a human being. Boop. You're an organism. Organisms are made up of organ systems. So like your, let's just call it systems. So like your GI system, your nervous system, your reproductive system, right? You're made up of all these systems, right? These systems are made up of organs, right? So like, like the liver, the brain, those are organs, right? And then those organs are made up of tissues, right? Different tissues, mostly proteins. And then those tissues are made up of cells. Okay? And then so the health of your cells will determine the health of your tissues. Healthy cells equals healthy tissues. If your voltage is low, if your voltage is below a 7.0, then your cell turns down. Now you got a sick cell. If you have a sick cell, now you got sick tissue. You guys tracking me on this? Now if your tissue is bad, now you got sick organs. Okay, now you got sick organ system. Now you got a sick organism. That's no good. I mean, do you see how that works? But 99.99% of medicine, even natural medicine, focuses here on the symptoms. Now, let me show you something. See that S in symptoms? It's a dollar sign. Because, man, this is where 99.99% of managed care is, where self-care over here goes, well, all right, well, I can turn this voltage up by using some cell signal, okay? And that voltage is probably low because I've got insulin resistance, so I can use an insulin resistance protocol to make my cells healthy. My cells are probably sick because I've got toxemia. You guys seen how this all plays together? If I fix the toxemia and insulin resistance, my cells are healthy. I probably have sick cells because I've got dysbiosis or gut issues, right? That 95% of the people have. Like, you see how it all goes together? And then the vast majority of people have sympathetic overload. Okay. If the sympathetics are high, then my cells are sick. So if I can fix these downstream problems, I can get rid of the root cause of my sicknesses and not managing my symptoms. And I can make this guy a happy little dude with one curly little hair. Do you see what I'm saying? Like this is how it works. Like, do me a favor. Please put in the bottom, that makes sense. If it makes sense. If it doesn't, ask me a question. Because I really want you to get this. Because if you can get this, if you can understand this, then man, this is such a powerful, powerful tool for you. Okay? I get it. What you really want is to be told what to do. I understand that. But I'm trying to get you to think for yourself just a little bit as well. Okay? There's some power in that. All right, so we talked about low cell voltage. Man, this is another one that's one of those 90%ers that people have. Like these are just so common. And by the way, 20 plus years of doing this, hundreds of thousands of blood tests, genetic tests, lab tests, hundreds of thousands of this stuff. That's where we get our data set from. This ain't our first rodeo, okay? Good. Makes sense. Yes. Healthy cells equals a healthy body, okay? These are all the root causes that causes your cells to be sick. When your cells are sick, you ultimately get sick. Healthy cells equals a healthy you, okay? Now, let's talk about this one down here at the very bottom. The one down here at the bottom, okay? Unresolved infections. Let's talk about that. Somebody type in the chat, unresolved infections. I bet you didn't know you had a lot of these going on in your body. Unresolved infections. Okay. So unresolved infections is a major player. This is one of our secrets to success in our practices. When you've gone everywhere and tried everything, having unresolved infections is really where we start. This is one of the things where we look at it, we go, oh, you haven't found that because you didn't look for it. So unresolved infections are things like Epstein-Barr virus. Who's heard of Epstein-Barr virus? Not Epstein files, but Epstein-Barr virus. Somebody type in the chat, E, B as in boy, V, EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus causes lupus, causes thyroid issues, and can lead to other autoimmune problems. Epstein-Barr, which comes from mono, is one of the most common reactive viruses we see, especially since COVID. When SARS-CoV-2 came through, it turned down immune system function on like 90% of the population. And Epstein-Barr, which we've all been exposed to, 95% of the population has been exposed to mono at some point in their life, which is Epstein-Barr virus. That virus goes into remission. We never get rid of that virus, just like chickenpox. We never get rid of chickenpox. When you've had chickenpox as a kid, that's a Zoster virus. When you've dealt with chickenpox, that virus goes dormant, lives inside of your cells of your nerves. And when your immune system and your body gets overstressed and it cannot be resilient anymore to the stress and to keep that virus in remission, all the soldiers that are keeping that virus in remission jail go over here to fight this new battle, and Epstein-Barr gets out and starts partying again and causes all kinds of problems. Chickenpox does the same thing, but when that Zoster virus gets out, it now causes a shingle. Does that make sense? Is anybody confused on that? Please let me know if anybody's confused on that, okay? Annie says she's having a flare-up right now of Epstein-Barr. I'm going to show you how to knock that down a little bit, okay? So Epstein-Barr is a big one. Cytomegalovirus, CMV. Cytomegalovirus is a big one, okay? H. pylori. Did you know that H. pylori infections is one that also causes not just heartburn, GERD, and reflux, but it also causes thyroid problems as well, and it can lead to arthritis, okay? That's cytomegalovirus, okay? And H. pylori. And then Lyme disease, right? Lyme disease. Next Tuesday, I'm going to do an entire AMA in the morning on Lyme disease. I've got a Lyme disease protocol. I'm gonna show you how to help with Lyme disease. Lyme disease, because it has other cofactors. It's got Bordella and pertussis and all kinds of other weird things that goes with it. And then other infections like strep and staph. Did you guys know that if you had strep throat when you were a kid, that strep a lot of times never completely leaves the body. That bacteria will get down into the GI tract, settle in the liver, settle in the intestines, and then you can have flare-ups of that. And a strep overgrowth can cause things like POTS. It can cause things like pediatric autoimmune issues. It can lead to things like neurocognitive decline in adults and in children. Like it literally can cause flare-ups of autistic flares. Did you know that certain other infections can lead to like autoimmune issues of the joints and in the brain? So these underlying infections are a very, very big deal. And so you got to test, not guess for these, number one. And by the way, I got you guys type your questions in the chat if you've got them, because I'll tell you, I got about 8 minutes, and then I got to get going. We've got a full day full of TV and radio interviews. I'm sure you guys probably saw the big announcement that came out just recently, just this week, of the hearings that came out of the whistleblowers that have came out and said that, you know, we, the people, were lied to about what happened during COVID. I mean, no kidding, right? But now it's all come out, and you know, I was 6 years ahead of the curve on that deal, which was awesome, but kind of sucked at the same time, at least for me. And I told my lawyers at the same time, I said 6 years ago, I said, look, guys, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now, when everything comes out about this, that I was right, I can't be punished because the government's doctors were idiots and they didn't know what we knew. I cannot be punished for that, but we were. So unresolved infections, you got to test, not guess. We run blood tests for all these in the office, and let me show you the protocol that we use quickly. Okay, let me wash this off. Let me grab something to wipe this off. So let's talk a little bit about protocols to help deal with Epstein-Barr, strep, staph, all that. Now there are a lot, and I mean a lot of protocols that are out there that different people use, and people recommend protocols typically that work for them. Right now, a lot of folks that are on social media, let's just be completely honest, they've never absolutely healed anybody or helped anybody get healed. They've either read it in a book or heard it somewhere else, or most influencers just keep repeating the same dogma. They really don't have a clue what they're talking about. In fact, mainstream medicine is the same way. That's why they told you that COVID shots were safe and effective. That's why they told you the antibiotics were okay for you. It's why they told you, all the stuff that you hear, right? All the things that your doctors